Hey, welcome back to Diego's Untitled Jiu-Jitsu project. I apologize for last week. You didn't notice probably. So I wanted to do 1 out of 4 in the month to be kind of like a Q&A. I got some questions when I first decided to start doing this, and I got a decent amount of questions, but I felt like I only want to answer questions that I think that like I haven't really seen a good answer to online. There's a lot of questions that people have asked that I think are good questions, but I just feel like I've seen that answer before, so it would be easier to find from someone else, or I'll get to it later, either one. The first question is a very simple question, but it's an answer that I think I haven't really heard someone say out loud. Carlos, oddly enough, my brother, asked injury avoidance. Now, I get how this is going to sound. I understand it's a little aggressive or a little victim blaming to a degree, but I think for a decent amount of the time, injuries in jiu-jitsu are your fault. Now, obviously, if someone picks you up and slams you, that's not your fault. If someone you tap and they keep cranking your arm, that's not your fault. But in my experience, and again, I'm on the mat 6 days a week. I don't really, knock on wood, get injured. And I think the reason that I don't get injured, or one of the main reasons that I don't get injured, is understanding tension and recognizing that a lot of times you can't meet tension with a lot of tension, especially if the person who's creating the tension or matching your tension isn't as experienced as you. What happens when I would say brown and below. I think of brown and above, then things change. But brown and below, white, blue, and purple, what tends to happen from what I've seen is when there's a lot of tension, that tension snaps at one point. There's a breakage of the tension. The issue with tension moving up and then that tension breaking is it goes down harder. So I'm saying is a lot of times if you're both going real hard and not even pace-wise, just like muscularly wise, what ends up happening is over-rotation or overextension, or kind of people get slammed into each other. Your skill set in terms of being able to continue training for a long period of time, minimizing injury, is being able to read the person, being able to play with them and bring them down a little bit. If they're being very tense, don't meet their tension. Don't try to match it every time. Try to soften it, almost like a negotiator when there's like a kidnapping or a ransom. Like you talk them off the ledge, get them to soften up a little bit, because again, just in my experience, most of the injuries I've seen have been two people going too hard and one person miscalculates and then an injury happens. Again, not every time, but enough so that I think this is a legitimate point, and I think that your ability to soften someone's tension is an indispensable skill. So hopefully that helps. That's question 1. Question 2 from Adam was how am I going to be how to be a good training partner? How to be a good partner in training? Part of question 1, I think tension's important. B, if you're drilling techniques, be there mentally. Don't wait for your turn to pay attention, but help them. If you're working on a guard pass, don't squeeze like crazy and not let them have a little leeway. Give them leeway. Let them kind of go through the movements with just a little bit of realistic tension, and kind of talk it through with them. Don't be a coach and don't be like, you should be doing it this way. Help them out. You feel like they kind of had a pause or they can't forget a certain detail of a technique, like arm pass or pressure on the knee. Little stupid things like that could be very, very helpful. I think those things are huge, where when you drill them, you're both working towards the same goal. You're both working towards understanding that technique more deeply. So that's a big one to me, is when I'm teaching and I'm walking around, I'm paying attention to how the students interact with each other, because that tells me a lot about if they're ready for a next belt, or if I may need to roll with someone a little bit harder because they're being kind of rude to one of their students and not recognizing that student's skill set. And I think the other one is recognizing and being aware of your body size and composition versus your training partner. If you are much bigger than your partner, when you are rolling, why are you going to smash them? That's already on the table. You know, you're already bigger than them. Try and get to a place with that student that you can get the most information out of them. You got to be able to adjust your game so that you can learn as much as possible within that specific role. So those are two things to me that I think I wish I would have known more of when I was a white belt. But it all, I think, is just like deals with being very in the moment and being very aware of what's happening and being aware of what the goals of this moment are. Is your goal to understand a technique? Slow down, take your time, communicate. Is your goal to get some exercise and have fun? Then go at it, have fun. But don't just go through autopilot. I don't think that's the most useful mentality to have. And yeah, I think that's about it. Keep it simple. I hope that helps. Feel free to hit me with any questions on DMs. Again, I'll answer more questions that I think are a little more, the answers that I think I could answer well, or questions that I think I can answer well. All right, thanks. Bye.